Preparation of salts, MCQ question paper 1. So questions are applicable for both core and extended candidates. Question number 1. Copper sulfate crystals are blue. They are made by adding an excess of copper 2 oxide to sulfuric acid. So as part of the review, we'll always try to write the chemical formula for copper sulfate. So that would be CuSO4. Copper oxide will be CuO, and sulfuric acid is H2SO4. So the mixture is heated and stirred. The mixture is then filtered, and the filtrate is allowed to evaporate, leaving a blue crystals. Why filtration is necessary? So before we answer the question, we have to remember that this method wherein we mix the copper oxide with H2SO4, we warm the acid and add excess of copper oxide is one method of preparation of salt, and that is neutralization. So the steps in neutralization is to heat up the acid, add excess base, or in this case is copper oxide. Then we will filter the unreacted copper oxide. Then the filtrate is the one that we're going to allow to evaporate. Okay, so why filtration is necessary? As I have mentioned, we need to remove the unreacted copper oxide. So in some exams, some questions they will ask, why do we need to put it in excess? The answer is we have to make sure that all of the acid, in this case the sulfuric acid, will react. All of them will react. So our answer, letter D. Question number 2. Which barium salts are soluble in water? So you have to memorize the solubility of the salts. In this case, we're talking about barium. So remember, in carbonates, most of them are insoluble. Carbonates mostly are insoluble. So barium is one of them. So this one is insoluble. So most carbonates are insoluble except for sodium, potassium, and ammonia. In chlorides, most of them are soluble except for silver and lead. So it means barium chloride is soluble. In nitrates, all of them are soluble, no exemption. So it means barium nitrate is also soluble. And in sulfate, most of them are soluble except for barium, aluminum, and lead. So barium sulfate is insoluble. Therefore, the solubles are barium chloride and barium nitrate. So the answer is letter C. Next question, number 3. Copper sulfate is prepared by adding excess copper to carbonate. So this is the one that I mentioned a while ago. We have to add excess of copper to carbonate to sulfuric acid. So let's try to write the chemical formula for that. That is CuCO3 plus H2SO4. Okay, it will turn into salt, and our salt is copper sulfate plus CO2 and H2O. So in this case, we are asking why we need excess of copper to carbonate. So I had mentioned earlier, we want to ensure that all of our sulfuric acid has reacted. Next, paper 2. Questions are applicable for both core and extended candidates unless indicated in the question. So when you see extended only, it means it's only applicable for extended candidates. Okay, question number 4. Which substance reacts with dilute sulfuric acid to form a salt? So we're looking for a substance that when it reacts with H2SO4, it will create a salt. Okay, and that salt should be able to remove that salt resulting from filtration. So when we were able to remove the salt from filtration, it means our salt produced is insoluble. So the product that was formed was insoluble salt. So how can we make an insoluble salt? Remember our method to make insoluble salt, that is precipitation. So we can do precipitation by mixing two soluble compounds that will result to insoluble salt. So what are we going to do now? We're going to add H2SO4 with our first option, which is barium chloride. Then we will get the salt that is barium sulfate and hydrogen chloride, or HCl. Second option, we have again H2SO4 reacting with our sodium hydroxide will result to sodium sulfate and H2O. Letter C, we have copper metal reacting with H2SO4, and we know that there will be no reaction. That is because our copper is less reactive than the hydrogen. However, if it is copper carbonate reacting with our H2SO4, it's possible to happen. It will result to copper sulfate plus CO2 and H2O. Now, what are we going to check is see if the resulting salt is soluble or not. So barium sulfate, as we all know, all sulfates are soluble except for barium, calcium, and lead. So it means this barium is insoluble. So technically that should be our answer already, letter A. But let's check the other letters as well. Sodium sulfate. All sulfates are soluble except for barium, calcium, and lead. So it means potassium and copper sulfate are all soluble. Next, number 5. Aqueous solution reacts with solid. The products are alkaline gas, salt, and water. So this is following one of our reactions wherein when we have an aqueous solution that is an alkali, that reacts with a solid, and that solid is ammonium salt. It will form an alkaline gas, which is ammonia, plus salt and water. So we want to find out what is the aqueous solution and what is the solid. So the aqueous solution is alkali, so it should be sodium hydroxide, not hydrochloric acid, while the solid should be an ammonium salt, therefore it's ammonium chloride, not magnesium carbonate. So our answer is Letter D, sodium hydroxide and ammonium chloride. Number 6, copper sulfate is prepared by adding excess copper carbonate to sulfuric acid. So this is the same question again. So why excess? Because we want to ensure that all sulfuric acid has been